Good evening. I am back. I know I kind of took like a hiatus for like 2 weeks or so. I just been partly busy, partly taking a break. I needed a break. Um I'm still like job hunting and interviewing and stuff like that. So that is a somewhat of a I don't want to say straining, but it is like a draining process. So I just needed to part of it was taking a break. Part of it was I really feel like I didn't have an episode to talk about anything really. So I just chose not to do an episode. But hopefully that everybody has been having good days, good weeks, and we're back at it. We're in July. Can't believe it already. It's already mid July. It's crazy. I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, my birthday is like 6 weeks away or something like that. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. But anyway, like I said, hopefully everybody's good. So I came across this post on Instagram, and it's four harsh truths that changed my life. So it's from shadow to light underscore 333. Um, and it's the first one is not everyone wants to get better. This is a truth that I've definitely understood from dating. That not everybody wants better for themselves. Not everybody wants to be better. A lot of people, it's not even because they want to be mediocre necessarily. It's just like it's a combination of things. It could be they don't have the confidence in themselves. They don't see themselves the way that you see them. They don't want to do the work to get to where they could be. And that work could include like mental health work, shadow work. It could also just include legit like I have to apply myself. I have to, go to school or do these things to get to where I could be. And something that we as dating daters, but also as like women, because we're such nurturing people, we have to set that boundary for ourselves. Like, you're not responsible, or it's not your role to like try to make someone do better or want better for themselves. They have to want that. That starts from within. You can obviously be helpful in some ways, but even that has to have boundaries too, because your main objective should always be you. And that person, again, like in my opinion, if you're doing better and you want better for yourself, then you will attract people who are doing the same thing. And if that person isn't, and it's not helpful to you, then you have the decision to make of whether to keep that person around or not, right? But again, you have to also realize that not everybody wants better. A lot of people are comfortable being comfortable. A lot of people don't want to be uncomfortable. And we all know that like with growth and becoming a better person, you are going to be more uncomfortable than you're going to be comfortable, because growth requires you to be out of your element, out of your comfort zone, to be vulnerable, to fail. A lot of people also don't want to get better because they don't want to fail, and they don't want to face whatever consequences coming with that. And even though it's not really a consequence, it's more so lessons. It's just it's all about like what they're willing to deal with emotionally and physically and spiritually and all those things. So that's a harsh truth, but it is a truth. Number two, words are hollow. Behavior is true communication. This is everything. Like, people will say one thing and do the opposite, and you always have to pay attention. Again, this is what I feel like with dating and just in general. Like, pay attention to someone's words, and I'm not words. I'm sorry, their actions and their behavior. If someone has a bad behavior pattern, more than likely it's not going to change until they recognize that it's bad and do the work to change it. You telling them isn't going to do anything typically. And again, pay attention to someone's words more so I'm sorry, pay attention to their actions more so than their words. You can also pay attention to the words, because a lot of the times, when you're dating someone, getting to know someone, letting them talk, you will learn so much about someone just from listening to them. You don't always have to interject. You don't always have to talk back or take over the conversation. If you're that type of person, sometimes let that person talk. You will learn a lot about a person from their words, but you'll learn a lot about them from their words, but you will know who they are, in my opinion, from their actions and their behavior. I just think that, again, we always say, like, at least to me, I'm very much my thing that I tell people: be a man of your word, be a woman of your word. If you can't do that, I will respect you way more if you can say, hey, I couldn't come through or whatever, versus being immature and just thinking that you can slide by. I feel like I've encountered that a lot within dating, and I know that I've talked to other women. I can't speak for men. I'm sure that they experience it too, but people who think that they can kind of just skate by, or they do something wrong and then think that they can just start talking to you for a little bit and come back and everything's going to be copacetic. And for me, that doesn't work. I don't know about you, but that doesn't work for me, because I'm going to call you out right on it. Okay, so now that you're back, you going to explain to me what, whatever, right? I'm just not going to let it slide by. So, but my point in that is, like, pay attention to people's habits, their behavior. People tell on themselves, again, not just verbally but by their behavior. If someone you catch somebody in a lie, that's a note to take. If you catch somebody, like, even if you guys are dating and they're dating other people, and they, or they talk about, if you're a woman dating men, if the man talks about women in a negative way, pay attention to that. If they are not someone who follows through, not just for you, but, or maybe they follow through for you, but you catch them not consistently following through for other people, whether that be at work or with their friends or their family. Like, that's a reflection of, eventually, that behavior is going to probably come to you too. If they, just different things. And you have to know, I think for you, you have to know what it is that's important to you. I say about coming through and following on your word, because those are things that are important to me. If somebody can't hold their word, and I see that as a behavior within them, that's definitely a huge red flag for me. And I more than likely won't be bothered with you, because it's just for me. So again, just pay attention to people's behavior. It's a form of communication also. And just like, I don't know if you've probably heard of it before, like, no response is a response. That's a form of behavior that is communication too. If somebody feels that they don't need to they don't want to respond to you bringing something up that may have concerned you or something like that, that's a big thing to pay attention to. If they brush off your feelings, that's a big thing to pay attention to. Number three, chronic venting keeps us stuck in cycles. This is so true. And I used to be not necessarily a chronic venter, but I used to be somebody who, and I still do, obviously, every once in a while, but you can kind of, and that's sometimes as learned behavior. Like, if you come from a family, or you have friends, or a circle, or your environment is like people who just feel the need to, I don't think it's bad to vent, right? You can vent about a situation, but if you're constantly venting about things, whether it be the same topic or just there's always something that you need to complain about. Again, I don't think venting is a bad thing. It's better to let it out than to keep it in. But just be able to practice, like, sometimes it's not worth venting about. Sometimes it's just better to just look at the situation within your, like, from your own mind, take note of the lesson, and then move on. um, because sometimes you can kind of get into that cycle where you just constantly venting and you're not making any solutions. And that's when you're not making solutions, you're not growing from the situation, you're not learning the lesson, and then you probably are coming across, I feel like, in that type of situation, you might be coming across the same lesson over and over, just in different instances or with different people. So again, don't let yourself get stuck in a cycle of just venting and never really making solutions or learning to let things go. Another number four, blaming others serves the ego and blocks us from creating the life we choose. Again, blaming others serves the ego and blocks us from creating the life we choose. I think this is a big one. This can be in various aspects. This could be like work related, right? Because if you feel like, oh, I could have been in the management role, or I could have been higher up, but this my boss doesn't like me, so they're not letting me move on to the next level or something like that, or they don't want me to have more money, or this job is this or something like that. um it could be in relationships too, like, oh, all my if this is a red flag, like if you meet somebody and the relation you talk about, like their past relationships, and all their relationships were the other person's fault, that's a big red flag too, because that person hasn't learned their lesson, and they're serving their ego, and more than likely they're not going to learn that they haven't learned their lesson, and they're going to probably repeat the same thing with you. So, if you, again, sometimes it is the other person's fault, but in relationships, no matter what type of relationship, there's two participants at least, right? And so you play a role in it too, even if you didn't do anything wrong. Like, okay, I think of cheating, right, as an example. Maybe you can't make somebody cheat. That's a personal choice and responsibility. But what did you do in the relationship, not necessarily to cause it, but if you're somebody who you didn't pay attention, right? You didn't pay attention to the signs or the red flags. And again, I'm not blaming someone who got cheated on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's your responsibility to always look out for you. And sometimes, and we've all been through it. I've been in the same exact spot where I wasn't paying attention to certain things because I have, we get in a relationship, we really fall, you might fall in love with this person, and you will accept their flaws, and you kind of give them a pass a lot of the times, or you don't make a big deal out of things, or you kind of, oh, this person wouldn't do me like that. Like, that is a number one right there. Don't ever think somebody won't do you like that, because that main person that you say, oh, they won't do me like that, will do you exactly like that, and probably worse. So and that's just from that. I've learned that from personal experience. Don't ever underestimate what somebody is going to do for you, will do to you, right? So with that being said, like, again, I'm not saying that you can't trust people, because that is a point, like, a point of being in a relationship. You have to have that trust and being vulnerable and willing to be potentially hurt. But you have to also pay attention to people's behavior, like I was saying before, and their words. And if those two don't match, make a decision. Figure out what's going on for you, what works for you in that space. Um, and take accountability. If you did something wrong, take accountability for it. Learn the lesson and do better. If they did something wrong and they don't take accountability for it, take note of that. Don't Again, it's not all about, like, I think that sometimes when situations, like when the relationship doesn't work, it's easy to say, oh, this person was a cheater, or they lied, or they weren't good enough for me, or they played too much, or it just didn't work out. Like, yeah, maybe it just didn't work out because of whatever reasoning, but what part of you um played a role in that too? And that's, to me, I say that part is because, like, it's not even about you being in the wrong. It's about why. Okay, hold on. So I would say who you were during that relationship, something about you, probably inner child related, or some form of inner child trauma, it needed to be healed or brought out by this person, based on the relationship that you had with them, right? And so that's why I say it's not a one person thing. It's maybe you were with that person because they, even if they didn't do you right, or something, like something about that relationship and the dynamic that you had with them fed your ego, or made you feel good about yourself, or something. It was something that attracted you to that person, or multiple things that attracted you to that person that could have been more negative, but you weren't seeing it as that because it was feeding your ego. And again, like, it's easy to blame the other person, but we all play a role And again, I'm not saying that if you got cheated on, it's your fault, but what did you do in that space? Did you not pay attention to certain things, or did you brush things off, or did you let things slide, or did you not create boundaries? That's more so what it is. Like, what boundaries did you create with this person? Or if you created the boundaries and they crossed the boundary, what was the penalty for it, or what was the thing that you decided to do for it? So again, just remembering that blaming others, that more so serves your ego. It doesn't help, and it blocks you from creating the life that you choose. Because again, just because it doesn't work out with one person, it doesn't mean that there's nobody else left on the planet for you. There's multiple people. You might have multiple relationships that are supposed to be in your life after this person, but if you don't make the right choices and you just serve your ego and blame them, and sometimes when you're doing that, I feel like these are all kind of connected, because when you have a relationship that doesn't go right and you blame the other person, you're serving your ego, but you're also doing chronic venting, which keeps you stuck in a cycle, which prevents you from creating the life that you want. And you are um, focusing on the words that they gave you and not their behavior. And you are not recognizing that, like, you're preventing yourself from getting better, right? And um, we all deserve better, and we all deserve to be able to move forward, and to find what we're looking for and what works for you. So just don't allow yourself to get stuck in a cycle and get stuck in relationships or stuck in situations that not only don't help you grow, but are not contributing to you getting to what it is that you want for yourself. Um, so yeah, I would say those things, but I just wanted to come in and kind of share some type of episode information that I felt was helpful and relatable to people. Again, life is all about the lessons and the journey, and we all have them. We all have certain lessons to learn here. We have assignments while we're here. So the best thing you can do is give yourself grace and try to learn through your experiences and be able to be helpful and teach other people. And um, always want better for yourself and think about yourself first. You're responsible for you, and so you have to make sure that you are getting the best for yourself first before you can even give to others. Again, you have to make sure your cup is full before you can pour into other people. So keep that in mind. Don't block yourself from creating the life that you want, and be forgiving, but also pay attention and make sure you're making the right decisions of who can be in your life and who can't be. And so hopefully that was helpful, and hope you have good rest of the Sunday, good start to your week. As always, meditate, manifest, invest in you. This is your host, Chanel. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and take care. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.